And welcome back in for another episode of the Ball Boys podcast. We just recorded the NBA One Western Conference predictions coming tomorrow, Saturday episodes for basketball, as we mentioned. But this come out Friday. You see us repping the Phillies gear. It's a football episode, but it's a red October. That's what we'll leave it at. So just so you know, I don't know if you know this, Nolan. I'm a Yankees fan, but when the Yankees are out of the playoffs, I'm loyal to the city of Philadelphia.
Hey, there's nothing better, bro.
And like this hat is just, you got the colors on, but it's fire. It's
The
fire.
powder blues can't go wrong with those.
Can't go wrong. But we're here to talk NFL football, and we got to start with Thursday Night Football, as always. The Chiefs, in a game that the final score was closer than it felt, 19-8. A good night for playoff baseball.
Yeah.
A bad night for NFL football. Taylor Swift was in attendance again. Congrats to all those who love Taylor Swift. The Chiefs, though, this game, it felt like domination despite the score. Travis Kelce has a big night. Patrick Mahomes, a little sloppy with the ball again. So maybe something to keep an eye on. He's gone through slumps before. But I want to focus on the Denver Broncos because people are going to talk about the Chiefs and they're going to say, the Dolphins put up 70. The Chiefs aren't a contender. They're fake. Their offense isn't good enough. The Chiefs went into this game on a short week with the mindset of let's get in, let's not get hurt, and let's get out. And that's what they did. For the Broncos, the fire sale's coming. The fire sale of the Denver Broncos, it's coming. They are going to blow it up. And nobody's going to take Russell Wilson's contract. And to be fair, Russ had a bad game tonight, but overall in the season, I was shocked. I looked at the numbers. He had pretty similar numbers to Patrick Mahomes coming into the game. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying maybe he's not the problem. The team, the defense sucks. The defense is ass. They looked good tonight. I'll give them that. The defense looked good tonight, but the defense has been the problem for the majority of the year. You give up 70 points to the Dolphins. You give up 30-something plus to the Bears. Obviously, they still won that game. But my point being, the defense has been the problem. They don't have really good offensive weapons. Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, that's not an A-plus backfield. It's probably like a B. Jerry Jeudy, he's a Jag, just a guy. Shout out Steve Smith. Cortland Sutton, he's a fine wide receiver 2 in this league, but he doesn't have a wide receiver 1 ahead of him. Tim Patrick going down. Dulcich, he was just back, and then he got hurt again. So it's not like Russ has great offensive weapons. But when you go and trade for a head coach in Sean Payton, when you give Russ a massive extension, and when your coach guarantees a playoff berth, and you start the season 1-5, changes are going to be made. And Frank Clark, he is going to be on a new team. That's pretty much been confirmed by Field Yates today, whether it's released or traded. And Jerry Jeudy looks like he's going to be on a new team. Steve Smith absolutely ripped into him today. He took it personal to Jerry Jeudy, and I don't know what he finished the game with, but in the first half, he was feeling dangerous. 2 catches, 1 yard. Happy yard to catch. I mean, those are elite wide receiver 1 numbers. But no, the Broncos are going to blow it up. And, I saw all the analysts tweet about it, and, I love Colin Cowherd. I do. But he's putting a lot of this on Russ. When you get paid like that, you're paid to be the solution. I don't want to hear about problems. Dog. Russell Wilson is not Superman. And he's not the miracle worker he once was. I don't think Russ is fully the problem. At the beginning of the year, and maybe you disagree with me, I'm coming around to Russ isn't the problem. I think the team is poorly constructed. And you know what? You start the year 1-5, it can't just be on one person. I do think it's a team thing. And I've seen Sean Payton succeed, and I've seen Russell Wilson succeed. And I haven't seen the rest of these guys around them succeed. I think the roster is in need of an overhaul. And nobody's going to take that Russell Wilson contract, so you better work with what you got. But, how soon do you see changes coming for this Broncos team?
You might see him ASAP. I think this weekend might be a big thing. I think this is like the breaking point. I think for Denver,
Mhm.
it was looking horrible. They pretty much were shut out for the at least 45, 50 minutes of the game. So for me, you got to do something soon because you got to figure out who's for real, who's not going into next year, and you need as many games to figure that out. And honestly, I mentioned this at the preview, and I think Sean Payton might be a Drew Brees merchant, bro. That Denver team looks horrendously coached. I mean, you could blame the players
Do you
and
see his
Russell
his playbook
Wilson.
got exposed by Amazon
I
Prime?
did
Got
see
got to
that.
change all the plays
Like
now.
my guy is just exposed to this playbook. Like, it doesn't look good for his team. And even like last week, Nathaniel Hackett, he came in and he got the dub, bro. And like, how does he feel? Like
Yeah,
that's an
Sean
L and
Payton
a
is
half.
certainly writing a check with his mouth that his team cannot cash. I think we watched Jerry Judy's last game as a Denver Bronco. I know we touched on that briefly, and the Steve Smith stuff's funny, but they've been talking about trading a wide receiver. And when you're 1-5, having drama with an analyst, I mean, that's a way to get yourself on a new team. So I want to float out some destinations because I don't think they're as glorious as fantasy owners of Jerry Judy are going to be hoping. The Colts, they're rumored. If he goes there, is he a wide receiver one? Like for that team, I
Yeah,
think he's behind Pittman.
yeah.
I think Michael Pittman might be better than Jerry Judy. Anthony Richardson gonna miss the next 4 weeks minimum. So a wide receiver two for Gardner Minshew in a run first offense. I don't.
Mm.
The production's not gonna be great there. Carolina, they're in the market for a wide receiver one. I mean,
Good
he's
luck,
better
Steve
than Adam
Smith.
Thielen, but man, I mean, how fitting would that be if
Yeah,
Jerry Judy goes to the Panthers after beefing with Steve Smith?
that'd be nice. I'd love to see
Um,
that.
you know, Gabe Davis has been hot, so I don't think Buffalo is in the market. Baltimore, they don't seem like they're in the market. You start looking around the league. Are the Packers in the market? Are the Lions? That might be best case scenario for Jerry Judy, but I don't know what it costs to get it. The Broncos, the fire sale. It's on the way. So that's the Thursday night recap. Let's hop into some Sunday action. I did last week. I saw your best bets this week. I don't have them. So if we get to a game that you got to pick for, just flag me down, wave me, say, hey, I got a pick for that one. We're not doing that one.
Got you.
I have a pick for the overseas game in Ravens Titans, so we are going to skip that one for now.
Aye.
I also have a pick for Commanders Falcons, so we're going to skip that one too.
All
Seahawks
right.
Bengals, you got a pick for that one? No.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Bengals are favored by 2.5 at home. They're looking to get to 500. The Seahawks are coming off of a bye week. This is a very interesting question of are the Bengals back or are the Cardinals what we thought they were after a month of being frisky? And that will be put to the test this weekend. Geno Smith, DK Metcalf. I expect Jackson Smith, the Jigba, off of a bye to be more involved than he was
Bro,
before the break.
hopefully. I can't deal with this.
That's usually when those rookie wide receivers get more involved after the first month. I think, especially after a bye week, I wouldn't be shocked if there were some plays drawn up to call his number. They didn't draft him in the first round for nothing. And for the Bengals, T. Higgins expected to be back out there, so their offense should be at full power. Jamar Chase, Mr. 7-Eleven, always open. Last week he's pretty good. What was it, like 15 catches, 200 yards,
Yeah,
3
50,
touchdowns?
50 fantasy points, and I'm still losing.
Yeah,
I love
52
that.
fantasy points, wide receiver one on the week, obviously. So, man, I got to ask you, do you believe that the Bengals are back after last week? And you can't give the answer of, I got to see this week. If you had to stamp it, are they back or not?
So I don't know if they're back, but I think they win this Sunday. If I had to pick, I think they do get the dub. They're at home, and for me, it's a super tough game. Like obviously, it could go either way, but I think T Higgins is probably coming back. That game last week might have figured something out. Burrow looked relatively healthier, which is awesome. So I think because of that, I would probably have to roll with the Bengals, and they know they got to win some of these like tough games. So
Yeah.
Cincinnati for me.
I like Cincinnati in this game as well. Um, going into the season, the loyal listeners know, I thought the Seahawks were fake good. And I think the Seahawks have been a merchant of a favorable schedule so far. They lost to the Rams, they look better than we thought, but, they beat the Giants. That doesn't tell me much. Everybody beats the Giants. The Bengals, this win gets them back to 500 and feels like, okay, we're still in the season. For me, if the Bengals lose this game, it feels like, okay, the Cardinals are what we thought they were at the beginning of the season. The Bengals still have real major issues. I do worry about Joe Burrow's ability to throw the ball down the field. Aside from that one deep touchdown to Jamar Chase that was all over the highlights, he was 1 for 4 on passes of over 15 yards. That is a concern. But you have T. Higgins, you have Jamar Chase, you have guys that can get that yak, and you're at home. I do worry about Seattle off of a bye. Pete Carroll's a good coach. The defense looks good. Extra time to prepare. It's a little worrisome. However, I will say 1 o'clock game, East Coast. Seattle is traveling very far. People don't really realize how far away Seattle is. It's the farthest travel of any team, a lot farther than LA. And 1 o'clock Eastern time zone games, they're not great in. Colts Jags. Jags are favored by 4 points in this one. Both teams 3-2. Skipping this one. Yes, sir. Panthers 0-5 travel to Miami. Keep moving. Vikings 1-4 travel.
No. No.
About 1 a.m, Nolan. Vikings 1-4 travel to Chicago, take on the 1-4 Bears. Minnesota favored by 3 points. Justin Jefferson lands on the IR. This is a dog shit game. Dog shit game of the week. That's where I'm at with this one. Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields. Kirk Cousins got the quarterback edge. 1 o'clock game, but man, we got to talk about the Vikings. Is Kirk Cousins, has he played his last game with Justin Jefferson?
I think so. Not because I think he'll get traded, but I think that Jefferson gets shut down or he just doesn't want to play it
Feels
out.
super Cooper Cup-esque of last
Or
year.
Joe Mixon, too.
Does it not feel super Cooper
sure.
Cup-esque of last year? Sidetrack a little bit. I had a fantasy trade. It wasn't me, but it was in my league. And somebody traded Justin Jefferson for Drake London, and we vetoed it. But that tells you the thought process of how worried people are about Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I've had a trade in mind too that got through, and it was like I think it was Jacoby Myers and Zach Moss for Jefferson.
Yeah, people are selling, and we'll see. But the Vikings, they are in a bad way, and I do think there's a possibility Kirk Cousins is done. Last year of his deal, Justin Jefferson didn't sign that extension because he wanted some security at the quarterback position. I'm not sure if in his mind that's Kirk Cousins. For the Bears, they got that win on Thursday Night Football, long week, divisional game. Does the winning carry over? It's possible. Justin Fields has looked really good the last 2 weeks. DJ Moore looked pretty good last week. Pretty good. Only wide receiver 2 in terms of fantasy after scoring 3 touchdowns, 200 yards. I lean Bears. I lean that the Bears will win this game.
I'm taking the Bears too. I think that Chi-Town gets it done. Minnesota is just the wheels are falling off. They're not completely off yet, but
I think Minnesota
be demolished.
The perfect poetic football gods move is for the Vikings to lose another 1-score game and move to 1-4 in 1-score games this year.
Yeah, and then the funniest thing would be if everybody was like, "Oh, Chicago, they're getting the first pick, blah blah blah," and then the Vikings could possibly wind up maybe with Caleb Williams,
Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison played at USC. Caleb Williams, that seems too far down the rabbit hole. 49ers 5-0 travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Deshaun Watson looks like he's not going to be playing, which that's a whole other conversation for Browns fans. For the game analysis, the Niners are favored by 9.5 points. Here's what I'm going to say. Feels like a trap. Team that is looked at as the consensus best team in football. right? Most people say it, best team in football versus a Browns team with a backup quarterback in, and they're not even getting double digits. Feels like a trap. The Cleveland defense is top 5 in football. Going to be a low scoring game. Take the under. That's where I lean there. And I would bet Cleveland plus 9.5. I'm not going to be trapped by the sports book, and I get it. I'm not betting it. It wasn't one of my best bets, but if I had to pick a side, I'd pick Cleveland. That defense is legit, and they are better than Dallas's defense. I'll tell you what, if Brock Purdy hangs 30 on this defense, I'll come on the podcast Tuesday and tell you that Brock Purdy straight up is a top 10 quarterback, and we could start talking about him MVP discussions. If he can hang 30, and it's not McCaffrey hanging 30, it's Purdy. I'm not coming up here if McCaffrey scores 5 touchdowns and 200 rushing yards and Brock Purdy was 10 for 11 with 113 yards, telling you it's Brock Purdy. But if he does what he did to Dallas to Cleveland, we could talk about him MVP.
Yeah, bro. For me, it's tough because I really wanted to see Watson this week. It would have been an awesome matchup and a super, super. It sucked, bro. Like, come on. But PJ Walker, he's getting the start, I believe, on Sunday, which is first start of the year. And I mean, like you said, they're at home. That defense is no joke on both sides. But Brock Purdy has not had that game where he's kind of messed up yet. Like, I don't know the weather. Maybe it could be a little murky, messy out. You never know. So I'm on your boat. I think that the 9.5 is definitely a possibility, and I think it's going to get even higher. I think by Sunday, honestly, I think more and more people are going to be like, "Oh, it's the Niners, bro." And
Yeah, I agree. Moving forward, Saints travel to Houston and take on the Texans. This feels like a very crossroads moment for both teams, right? Saints are 3-2, coming off a huge win versus New England. Texans are 2-3, coming off of kind of a heartbreaking loss to Atlanta. New Orleans is favored by 1.5 on the road. My prediction for this game is C.J. Stroud throws his first interception. I think that Saints defense is legit. Lattimore, Honey Badger, guys like that are out there. Dennis Allen. If there's one thing he can coach, it's defense. And for the Saints, Derek Carr, full participant in practice this week. Seems like he's finally doing good from that AC joint injury. Chris Olave, full participant in practice today. Looks like the ankle's good to go. Alvin Kamara, his third game. The Houston Texans, they have a bad run defense. Alvin Kamara looks like he probably in for a good week. I lean Saints minus 1.5 here. I don't want to say the Texans were fake good, but it feels like the Saints, I don't want to say are underrated, but have underperformed this year due to some injuries, due to guys being out, and it feels like this is the first week that the team's fully healthy, fully on page. Last week, you could say that too. Olave had that ankle injury, but I think last week was the start of something for New Orleans, and I think they may be taking over that NFC South, but we'll get to that a little later. Where do you lean?
yeah, this is a tough game. I'm a Saints guy this year, but I mean the Texans they're rolling. I know they lost last week, but should be a really good game. I'm excited to see how that plays out. But two things: one, Alontae Taylor is playing out of his mind. I saw a bunch of highlights and just clips on Twitter or X. Just how good he's playing this year. Like, it's insane. He looks like an all-pro almost already, which is crazy. But I think this is the game that Chris Olave pops off. I'm going to predict that he goes for at least 125 and a tutty.
You're Brian.
I'm not praying. I'm telling you.
Charles Barkley guarantee. If I've ever seen one on the ball, boys. We got another just disgusting slop fest of a game. The 1-4 Patriots travel to take on the Las Vegas Raiders at 2-3. The Raiders are favored by 2.5. This is gross, man. Mac Jones versus Jimmy Garoppolo in Week 6 of the NFL season. Somehow this is a 4:05 game. If this is on my TV, that's just disgusting. Oh, it won't be because the Eagles play at 4:25. Okay, great. Yeah, this is just a terrible game. Let's be quite frank. Neither of the teams are going anywhere. Let's get Devontae Adams out of Vegas. What was that? 4 targets on Monday Night Football against the Packers? That's disgusting. Did you see Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee's show? Dude, he was
I did.
hating on the Raiders, bro. He was speaking for Devontae. For a fact, Devontae
He's like, hit him up,
feeding him. He was telling him he invited Aaron Rodgers over to that Taco Bell that's in his house, and he said, "Yo, bro, get me out of here. Go on Pat McAfee and say that I need a new home." I think Devontae Adams is going to request a trade. And
Yeah.
this game the only thing I could think of this game is last year when Chandler Jones pick six Mac Jones and stiff
Yo,
armed
that
him to the
was
ground.
hilarious, dog.
You know what? Instead of saying what side we're going to pick for this game, over under one half of football that Mac Jones plays on Sunday.
I'm gonna say it gets to a half.
No. Does he play in
Oh,
the third quarter? Does he play in the
whoa.
third quarter?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
I
I'm
think
just
so too. This game blows. Let's keep it moving. Lions, Buccaneer, and you know what? If you're a Raiders or Patriots fan, I'm not sorry. You should know at this point of the season that your team's trash. 4-1 Lions travel to Tampa Bay to take on the 3-1 Buccaneers. Buccaneers coming off of a bye. Lions coming off of another really solid win. The Lions look like they are a legit NFC team. For me, it's 49ers, it's Eagles, and it's Lions. Those are the top three. And for Tampa Bay, they're looking to win that NFC South, and they're coming off a bye. They're going to be looking for some respect. Baker's been balling out this year. Sam Laporta pops up on the injury report for the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown projects to be back. So, feels like the offense will be about what it was last week. But, man, this feels like the spot where people bet on Detroit. Detroit's favored by 3, and Detroit lets them down. Right? That Tampa Bay defense is legit. And coming off a bye, man, you got good weapons. Godwin, Evans. I think I like the Buccaneers to cover the +3 here.
I I could totally see that. I think that the Lions are a little bit just too good for the Bucks. I know they're at home, but for me, it just feels nasty going on that Bucks train this
I'll tell you
soon.
what, if the Lions win by more than a touchdown, I'll have some genuine concern about them as an Eagles fan. That's where I'm
Facts.
at.
But hey, what about Gibbs, bro? Like that whole situation, I know even just for fantasy purposes, but just picking him
All
12th
right.
overall and that
All right.
it's crazy, bro.
You're like the rest of the public. Let me drop some knowledge on you. Jameer Gibbs was drafted to be Alvin Kamara. Alvin
Facts.
Kamara in his first season with the Saints
100%. Yep.
was not getting touches. Mark Ingram was the bell cow. How quickly we forget what happened though. Midway through that season, towards the end, Alvin Kamara started getting the right touches at the right times, feeling more comfortable, and he just quickly exploded. Now, I'm not saying Jameer Gibbs is going to do that. Maybe he's not as good as Alvin Kamara, but that is what he was drafted to be. So anybody that's mad that Jameer Gibbs isn't this 3-down running back or isn't out touching David Montgomery went into the season delusional. David Montgomery was always going to be the red zone back. He was always going to be the guy that got the touchdowns. And guess what? He was always going to be the guy that got the in between the 20s touches. And what are the Lions right now? 4-1. When they're closing out games, winning them, you're giving it to that workhorse back. When the Lions are in more competitive games and when Jameer Gibbs is 100% healthy, he's going to make some explosive plays. I get it. If you drafted him in fantasy for redraft, with that draft capital, you thought big things were coming, and that
So
sucks.
third, fourth round
But,
pick, yeah.
but you had to be realistic with yourself.
The thing that
And
worries
the
me
Lions are
is
winning. They're not going to change what they're doing. They're
yeah,
four and
that
one.
too, but also too it's the lines, bro. And you saw what happened with Swift, and who
This is. I
knows?
don't think this is the same as DeAndre Swift. I
It's a little
think
sus.
I this. So here's why it's different. This general manager head coach combination did not draft DeAndre Swift.
Facts.
They drafted Jameer Gibbs. There's a plan in place for him. They're winning games handily. Let them get in a closer game. When they were in a closer game week 1, that's the most we saw Jameer Gibbs.
Mm.
It's not a coincidence. He's not going to play this week. I'm going to break it to you now. He's not playing. But next week, they got Baltimore. If he's back, going to be a close game. The week after that, they got the Raiders, probably not a close game. Then they got the Chargers. Feels like that could be a close game. Bears, maybe not. Packers, maybe a little revenge. New Orleans, feels like that could be close. They got the Cowboys later in the year for fantasy championship weeks. Feels like that could be a good game. But again, Jameer Gibbs dynasty owners, stay strong. Hopefully your team is deep enough like mine. But if you drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, you had the second overall pick, so you probably weren't ready to contend anyways. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs will be fine. But you're taking Lions -3.
Yeah.
Okay. Cardinals Rams 1-4 Cardinals travel to LA to take on the Rams. Rams are favored by a tubby 7 points. I like the Rams. I think the Cardinals, they were frisky. They were 1-4, but I think the Rams sniff that they could be a playoff team. I know that they lost to Philly, but they put up a good showing. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, another week out there. Matt Stafford's going to be good this year. Kyron Williams, he's mediocre. The team should get a new running back, but Aaron Donald's still free. I think the Rams sniff that they could be a playoff team, and I think that offense is going to put up a lot of points. And I feel like this Rams-Cardinals game is going to look a lot like Bengals-Cardinals last week.
Nah, facts. RIP if you're playing against Cooper Kupp or Puka in fantasy this week.
Yeah. They're 20-plus receptions combined. Eagles travel to MetLife. Okay. And Giants travel to the Bills on Sunday Night Football.
I was very close.
The Bills are favored by 14.5.
I was very close.
That might be the biggest line I've seen in the last 2 years of NFL. I mean, that's a college line. First off, in terms of college lines, Penn State's favored by 41.5 this week.
Yeah.
So it's not a complete college line. It's not a complete college line, but 14.5 is a college line. And dude, I don't think it's a bad bet. I think Buffalo -14.5 is a fine bet at home. I get why you were close. That's the side that I lean. First off, I don't know if Daniel Jones is playing.
He's probably not. Yeah.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor revenge game. Is that like the storyline?
Honestly, it's not. It might be a little better for the Giants if
I just don't understand how these primetime games keep on sucking ass, bro.
It's because they suck the Giants and the Cowboys off every year, and
but like even last week, bro, when you made the Thursday night schedule at the beginning of the year. Who convinced themselves that Commanders-Bears was a good game? I get how Broncos-Chiefs was convinced that was going to be a good game. I get how it happened. Bro, but even if the Giants were what they were last year, how did you convince yourself that this was a primetime-worthy game? Like, I get it. It's not like a great schedule of games for this week, and, maybe that's something we talked about. But 49ers-Browns going into the year, that felt like a better game. I mean, Seahawks-Bengals, that felt like a way better game. How is that a 1 o'clock game going into the year? Ravens-Titans even. I don't know how these schedule makers do it. Like, you're going to be able to go to bed at halftime of this game. Let's be quite frank.
Hopefully.
Unless you got fantasy stuff on the line. But Stephon Diggs might have 200 receiving yards against this team. Josh Allen might throw for 400. The Bills coming into this game angry after the loss over season long. I mean, they are going to make the Giants a fucking punching bag this weekend, bro. This is going to be terrible. And, I don't think Saquon plays. He's been practicing. If you saw the videos of him practicing, he's been jogging.
It is not worth it. Just sit out. Get your money, sit out.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor and Brightwell and Darius Slayton. Good luck keeping up with the Bills. Honestly, I wish I had put them in my best bets right now. But let's move forward into those best bets. Nolan, you're 8-7. I'm 11-4. Both had winning weeks last week. You were 2-1.
Are we talking Monday Night Football?
That's in my bets.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So let's run through your bets here. I think based on the games you said, we have 3 different games.
I believe so.
Some full analysis this week.
All right, here we go. So I got first game, Jaguars -4 against the Colts. Usually these games are very close. Divisional games, obviously you saw with the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, but the Jaguars coming out, they've been in London for 2 weeks. They're playing at home. Gardner Minshew, he's a solid quarterback, but that 4 line is 2, though, for me. I think that the Jags at least win by 6, maybe 7. So I think, I had to take that. I think it's 2, though, for a Jaguars team that's just could be a 1 or 2 seed in the NFC.
Did you factor in Gardner Minshew revenge game?
I did. I did, but for me, I think that the Colts are just not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. Listen, is there a world where Jonathan Taylor explodes for
Oh,
150
for sure.
yards?
For
Sure.
sure.
But I think the Jaguars' start to the season is why this line is what it is. But I think, again, we both projected the Jaguars to have a really good offense this year. They started to figure it out overseas in London, beat the Bills. Um, and yeah, no Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew for a full game, some film on him this year. I don't hate the pick.
All right. So second game, I got Dolphins minus 13.5 at home against the Carolina Panthers. I don't really have to explain much. Last week, they convincingly they should have won by a lot more, and that was because Tua was throwing pick sixes and picks that were uncharacteristic in that instance. So I think Carolina, they kind of fixed those mistakes and they could win by 20 plus. I think it's similar to the Denver Broncos. Obviously, they won't win by whatever that margin was, but I think it'll be at least more than 13.5. So give me Dolphins there.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick. From my standpoint, 2 touchdowns, just it felt like a potential backdoor cover, and maybe last week's got me a little nervous. But if I had to bet
Facts.
aside, I'd be Miami.
Facts. And then last, I got the Eagles -7 against the Jets. I think they feast on Zach Wilson. I think that this week they really turn on the Jets. No pun intended. I think that it's one of those games where I think that they everything starts to click. And they need this tune-up game for next week against the Dolphins, and they come out firing in all cylinders. Sauce Gardner doesn't have the best day, and I think 7, is too low for me. So I'm gonna take the Eagles at that
Is
number
is there any worry that the Eagles just kind of try and get out, and there's a backdoor cover
for
because they
sure.
know that Miami game's coming?
For
Um,
sure. I mean, it could
Jalen
be
Carter
their
potentially
defense is
not
good.
playing. I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So the
I mean,
defense
I
is good,
think
the
Hassan
Jets.
Reddick's a guarantee for a sack in this game too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely possible, but I haven't taken the Eagles, I think, once all year in a best bet. So
They certainly match up very well, right? You have Darius Slay who's able to guard Garrett Wilson. Um, the Eagles D line should dominate the Jets O line. Zach Wilson without time and the run game won't be open. And so Zach Wilson will have to win that football game.
mhm,
And when you're in a position where Zach Wilson has to win the football game, it's not a bad option to take the other side.
facts.
But I do worry with just 7 that a push or a backdoor cover. The Eagles just haven't been as dominant as they were last year. And my
Yeah.
concern is them, not yet, potentially. And maybe this is the week. I'd love it, but, there's some concern there. All right. Over to my best bets 3-0 last week. I am 11-4 on the season. So even if I went 0-3 and you went 3-0, we'd be the same. Just throwing it out there. Baltimore Titans international game. I'm taking Baltimore -4. And, I can sit here and tell you that Lamar Jackson's better than Ryan Tannehill. You know that. I can tell you that the Ravens are a better team than the Titans. You know that. But I'm going to drop some knowledge on you. The
Ooh,
Ravens traveled to Europe on Monday. The Titans traveled to Europe tomorrow. Friday they leave. So today, for the people watching, tomorrow for me and you, we saw last week that rest advantage
yeah.
matters. And John Harbaugh and the Ravens had an overseas game last year, and they decided to go earlier this year. I think there's a reason for that. I think the team that has the rest advantage and is more well adjusted is going to cover. I think that the Ravens may have covered this in Tennessee. I'm certainly going to take them to do it overseas, especially when they have the advantage. Derrick Henry's looked slow this year. No Traylon
Trey
Burks.
his ass.
Marlon Humphrey gets to guard DeAndre Hopkins, who's old. Um, I like the Ravens, and again, you take great teams off of bad losses. The Ravens are a great team. They're a Super Bowl contender. They're coming off of a loss that has a sour taste in their mouth. Those players on that team have been counting out the days to get back on that field, and they're going to. The Commanders, 2-3, travel to Atlanta, take on the Falcons, 3-2. I'm taking the Commanders plus 2.5. I think they win the game outright. I think that Commanders defense, that pass rush, gets to Desmond Ridder. I don't think Desmond Ridder is good. I think that the Houston Texans defense is a little weaker, and he was able to throw against them. I think Sam Howell is a better quarterback than Desmond Ridder, and I think the Commanders have a better defense. Right there, and again, long week for the Commanders. They played on Thursday. A little bit more time to scheme. And I'm not going to say that they're a great team, but they're coming off of a loss that, sucks for them. They're coming off a couple losses that suck for them, and maybe they are bad, but I like them at just about every position over the Falcons, aside from offensive line and running back. But I think the Commanders win the game outright. I'll take the points for sure, plus 2.5. And lastly, Monday Night Football. The 3-2 Cowboys travel to take on the 2-2 Chargers.
Don't do it.
Dallas is favored by 2 points. I just told you, great teams off of bad losses. We take them.
No.
But Dallas ain't no great team. I'm taking the Chargers plus 2. Give me the Chargers plus 2.
They had us in the first half, not going to lie.
The offense is getting Austin Eckler back, rejuvenated. They're going to put up points. Brock Purdy dotted up that defense. What the fuck is Justin Herbert going to do to them off of a week's rest? Dallas, they played Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and lost to Josh Dobbs. Now they get Justin Herbert. Kellen Moore, revenge game. Kellen Moore is going to hang 40 on them boys. 50, 60. I think the Chargers win the game outright. I'm getting points with them. I'm easily going to take them there. I don't think Dallas is it, man. I don't think that offense can keep up with elite offenses. And I think the Chargers, with Keenan Allen the way he's been rolling, with Austin Eckler, with a bye week to get Quentin Johnston more involved now that Mike Williams is hurt, I think that Chargers offense is the best besides the Niners that they faced all season. And the Niners covered a 30-point spread. I'm getting points with the Chargers. Give me that all day. I get it. It's going to be a home game for Dallas because the Chargers don't have fans. I don't care. And that's where we're at. And that's a 3-0 week. I'm going to be 14-4 coming in here saying, I told you so about them fucking Cowboys and them being trash again. But be sure to let us know all your thoughts in the comment section. For betting advice, the best in a business, TCK Experience on Twitter. But, we're doing pretty good over here. And for all your NFL and NBA, be subscribed to the channel. Again, Western Conference predictions tomorrow for when you are seeing this. Talk to Cowboys for odds. Until next time, peace.
Deuces.